My name is Christine De Luca, but that's my married name, and my real name is Christine Pearson. I was born in Bresse in Shetland, and then most of my life, my childhood was spent in Was, on the west side of Shetland. Group of islands at the very north end of Scotland. Quite isolated for the mainland, really. Was is called walls, but it really means inlets of the sea, and it's one of these things that the army making the maps got confused with, and they put down the word walls. So when you say I come for walls, you feel as if it's sticking in your mouth because you come for Was. Anyway, that had a fundamental effect on me, being brought up in a pretty crafting fishing community all my childhood. When I came away to Edinburgh, where I bide now, and I'm bidding for 50 years, I found Edinburgh really quite awe-inspiring and quite scary. And of course, I had to be careful who I spoke, because I had to speak English. We learned to speak English at school, of course. We had to be bilingual and not be rude. But I did miss not being able to speak in my NY. I think when I realised later on that the chances of me going home was likely brawly slight, I thought, I found a release in writing in Shetland dialect. It was a pretty bit difficult to write in the dialect because we never learned to read or write it. It was kind of mainly spoken. There was a dictionary, there was ways of writing it, but we never learned it formally, so we had to kind of just manage ourselves. But anyway, I started writing subversively in Shetland dialect. And then, as I wrote more and was moving among folk interested in poetry, then they became aware of that. And I found that they quite liked it, and that was really quite strange. I thought they would find it awful queer. So I wrote more and enjoyed doing that. And as time's gone on, I'm written more and more. I would say no, I wrote about half and half, maybe even more as half in the Shetland dialect, or Shetlandic, and the rest in English. And it's been translated into kind of languages, which to me seems bizarre and extreme. I thought I might read this poem. It's mostly in English, because it's about the relationship between language and dialect. I had been working with two Nordic poets, an Icelandic poet, and his poem was about a bird, the snipe, and the Icelandic word for the snipe is the hrossagakar, and the Shetland word for it is horsgok. And I'd been working with a Norwegian poet, and his poem was called Hegri Hoiden, which is about the bird called the heron, and the Shetland word for a heron is a hegri. And I thought that was quite interesting. Anyway, it starts off in English. It's a kind of a manifesto. Spelling it out. It's the way a cat fawns, a bird flaunts, a dog recoils and whimpers. It's the way a cricket chooses from his bag of chirpings, or a whale sends a long-distance message. It's the way our forefathers moved to the forest floor, and in the tonality of their vocal cords said, I and you, in 1,000 different ways, picked up the grammar of polemic and persuasion, the lexicon of lewd and lovely, the tenses that made sense of time past and time to come. It's the borders, armies and classes that cornered the limits of language, patois or pidgin, colloquial or Kailyard, vernacular or slang. It's the famous thesaurus that suggests 3 meanings for dialect, other than dialect and language: speciality, unintelligibility, and speech defect. It's the funding that flows from decisions. It's the boundaries and commissions that decide that pub is kosher in Norwegian, but only if pronounced pub. That Heron Heights and Hegri Hoiden is both languages, but Hegri Heights is dialect. That Hrossagakar and Snipe is language, but Horsgok is dialect. It's the passion we had when we nun to ourselves, when we bail sun for our bosey into the heavens, when we lay a word of love upon een another, when we done a budder with narrow definition. A little bit of anger comes out there at the end of that poem, I suppose. But it's true, I mean, the politics of language and dialect is something I'm interested in, and the status. And I think it's important that we don't let bairns think that their mother tongue is somehow debased language, that we lift them up and encourage them into bilingualism where they're comfortable and they can when they speak one Y and then a t'other Y. And that's something I'm very interested in. It's funny that I'm just been made Edinburgh's Macker, or Poet Laureate, which I think is really quite astounding, really, given that I'm Kent as a Shetland writer, and that I am quite passionate about it. I suppose I haven't been here for 50 years, and I do write in English, but I feel it gives me a bit of space to write and to help other folk that's come into the city with minority cultures, and folk that maybe feel their language is subservient and no so good as, and I hope I can maybe help them feel good about their mother tongue. Maybe I should just read another pretty poem. This ain't totally in dialect.
Yeah.
It's called Discontinuity. And it's just, I suppose, a kind of seize the day poem. It's about relationships. If you're like me, you gang along a beach and you pick up a stone and you head to take it home with you. You kind of bear naughty. But this time I was walking on a beach in Shetland. There was a beautiful, perfect heart-shaped stone, but it was barely big. And I couldn't get it on the plane home. So I patted up high on the cliff face, hoping that it would maybe still be there when I got back. The title, Discontinuity, is a geological term, but you'll likely ken that. And it means the juxtaposition of rocks of different ages or types. And there are places in Shetland where you can put one foot on the Eurasian continent and another foot on the American continent, which is quite fun. 20 words to help you. A sandy loo is a ringed plover, that lovely pretty bird that trips across the sand. Sandy loo. Wimmeren is just trembling. If you're greeting, you're crying. And the lunnebrak is that surge and breaking of the waves on the shore. Discontinuity. I could blame the way the sea is smooth the stains, the silky touch, the wailing, laving, and will the heart be there when I come back? Or I could blame the sandy loo. He was clear what way to ging, this way noo, nae looking o'er your shoulder, tide dus na wet. See the way the swell of joy is drained. Dance the day, the morn you slip into eternity. Or I could blame the hush that fills you till you like to burst with all the words that could be said, but you had back. That's what happens when you step in time, but sense a fault line wimmering through you, this side or that. Only the sea can greet and sing at the same time, shade and light, cobalt, ultramarine, and then the lunnebrak, a ties of fresh white.